I'm Bambi Francisco with this segment of Lessons for Entrepreneurs, and I'm speaking with Kirill Makharinsky. He is a co-founder of YouNoodle, which is a startup community site. Kirill, thanks for joining us and sharing 3 pieces of advice for our entrepreneurial community.
Well, have to start with, talked about this when we just chatted, so the biggest thing to work out is make sure you get the right team on board to help make your startup happen, and that is the most critical component. So once you have your idea, that's important, but you've got to realize that will change. So try to get the people involved that will look at your market and adapt your product to something that will work over the long run. Mm-hmm. Second thing is realize that things will change. It won't be easy. Starting a company isn't for everyone at all. We both know lots of people who don't want to do it or can't do it, and why? Because it's not easy, and you need to have the right mindset, and with that comes knowing that there's going to be fluctuation, change, and you've got to adapt to it. And then other than that, just say that you've got to... the final thing I was going to say is a product. So once you have a product, just make sure that you build something that's actually useful. So far too many people build something in anticipation of that people will come and people will use it, but just start small, build something useful, and you can always scale it up once people love your product.
Well, hopefully it was a utility for yourself at some point, or maybe early on. That's a good test. So that's great. So focus on the team, adapt, and create something that's useful. Good pieces of advice. Now, have you had any major setbacks or failures? You were an entrepreneur once before. Have you had any? Have you made mistakes that's made you a better entrepreneur this time around?
I think it's a learning process. So of course I've made mistakes. In what we do, we make mistakes every week. It's more whether you can learn from them and how important those mistakes are. So you have to keep it in context. I mean, I started several companies while I was at Oxford, and just wanted to understand that, because I knew that it's failure in England anyway is sort of seen as a drastic thing, which is why I love the culture here. But I started a couple of companies just to understand what it's like, just to get a feel for how to make things happen. And all those 3 lessons I learned is things I didn't understand when I was starting out. Initially, I think I started a small consultancy company where I tried to get students to work on to help service providers remotely, which was a totally stupid idea. If you think about it, it was why would they rely on the services of students when they could only contribute part-time? Now, for something much more specific where they can add expertise, it was interesting. So what we found is with web design, it was something they didn't mind if it was done remotely, right? They didn't want their accounts managed or things done by mathematicians where they didn't spend time on it. But for web design, it's a one-off project, and so I ended up actually involving that into something that worked moderately well and helped me get out of debt at university. So that was when I learned how to adapt, which I really didn't understand early on.
So it's a number of experiences that's helped you make the right decisions, or at least at this point, what you think is going to be the right decision.
Right.
I know
Hopefully.
My pastor used to say, 5 years from now, you'll say, 5 years ago I was really stupid, and 5 years after that, you're going to look back and say, I was really dumb 5 years ago. So, but anyway, good luck to you. Good luck to you and your team with YouNoodle.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Kirill Makharinsky. He is a co-founder of YouNoodle, which is a community site for entrepreneurs. I'm Bambi Francisco.